This video is sponsored by Shortboxed, the easiest and safest way to buy and sell graded comic books. Visit them today using the link in the description. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to look at some books that have seen their values decline, and we're specifically going to look at some amazing Silver Age books, but we're also going to examine some books from the incredibly talented Alex Ross. Stay tuned. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of books that have seen their values decline. And we're going to get things started off with a really awesome DC book. And I am specifically talking about The Brave and the Bold, issue number 28, a book that is the first appearance of the Justice League of America. This book was actually published in 1960, and unfortunately, like so many early books, there are not a lot of them out there. They do not trade hands all that often. And as a result of that, we sometimes have some gaps in the data. But I still wanted to take some time to look at this book. At present, there are about 1,400 copies of this book on the CGC census. And as you can see, as I'm scrolling here, there are some numbers that are missing. There's some 1-year numbers, 90-day, and certainly some 30-day that are missing here. But there are a couple of copies, couple of grades that we are going to take a look at. Some are more informative than others. We're going to start things off with the 7.5. There are 18 copies of this book on the census, with 15 of them trading hands. Go Collect has the fair market value for this book at about $12,500. And when we click on this one, we can drill down and take a look at what some of these numbers might look like. And you can see by the chart, this book has been relatively stable. I mean, you had an uptick around 2011, but relatively stable. The most recent price for this book was $12,000 and $12,011, I should say. And that was in December of this year, specifically December 15th. It was a Comic Connect sale for a 7.5. If we back up just a little bit, we can see that in September, there was another sale, roughly the same price. Another book sold at $12,000, technically $12,420 was the price. And then if we back up just a little bit, we can see that the third most nearest price was $16,800. And that was in August of 2022. So if we do the simple math, this book has gone from August 2022, a cost of $16,800, down to $12,011. That is a decline of roughly $5,000 or 29%. Again, fantastic book, no doubt about it. The two most recent sales were Comic Connect, and the one before that was Heritage. So again, a really awesome book that has definitely seen its value come down. Even though there are not a whole lot of copies out there, the values are still ticking down. So I want to take a look at another grade here. And I want to look at the 6.0. And this one has some sales data within the last 30 days, but the sale before that was quite some time ago. There are 50 copies of this book on the census, 28 sales. The book has a fair market value of $7,250 according to Go Collect. And when we click on this, what we will be able to see is that value decline that I just referenced a second ago. We see that in January of this year, this book sold for $6,900. And unfortunately, the most nearest price, or the most nearest sale to that, was in December of 2021 at a time that the book sold for $8,750. So not a terrible decline with this 6.0, but it has come down $1,850 or about 21%. Again, not a whole lot of these out there, but we are seeing value declines, even with some really amazing, arguably rare comics, right? So I want to scroll down and take a look maybe quickly at one other book here that has also traded hands in the near term. This is the 2.5. There are 106 copies of this book on the census. And ever so briefly, we will take again a look at what has happened with this one. And you can see it play out. The graph tells the picture here. The most recent sale for this book in December was $1,620. And unfortunately, the data isn't great here. I've been struggling being able to find data on eBay as of late for these best offers. They've reconfigured something that doesn't have the transparency that it once had. So the sale before that that we can see was in September of 2022. The book was selling for $2,500. So we've seen a decline of from $2,500 down to 1620 for a relatively low grade at 2.5. So again, just a really awesome book that has also suffered a decline. So let's go ahead and share this screen again, and we're going to take a look at another really amazing book. This one is Fantastic Four issue number 1, the first appearance of the Fantastic Four. A great book, no doubt about it. And just like the previous version, you can see as we scroll through the data here, a lot of missing data, specifically and primarily in the 30-day range. If you look at this column right here, a lot of data points missing there. But we do see one down here that sold a 5.5 actually traded hands. There are 68 copies of this book on the census. So let's go ahead and take a look at what has happened with this 5.5 according to the data that is in Go Collect. The most recent sale for this book was in January. This 5.5 sold for $32,400 in January of this year. And if we back up the sale before that, I think I have that data. The sale before that was $36,000. So $36,000. So it's only a $3,600 decline from November to January. And that's about 10%. So not a terrible decline in any way, shape, or form. But I want to play this out a little bit more, and I want to back all the way up to August. I want to back up to August of 2022. This book was selling for $50,000. $50,000 is what this book sold for in the summer of 2022. And again, if we fast forward to where the book is now in January of 2023, the book is sold for $32,400. That is a decline of $18,000. That is a meaningful decline. $18,000 or 36%. That's a nice chunk of change. That will hurt your heart. But as we scroll down this list and we take a look at maybe some of the other numbers, we can see here the 3.0, there's been a decline. The 2.5, there's been a decline from the 1 year to the 30-day. The 2.0, a decline. And again, as you go down the list, we are seeing nothing but negatives. And this is not a slight, as I've said before, on the book itself, because all of these books are really fantastic. If you're lucky enough to have one, count your blessings. And if you are in a position to potentially be able to snag one, potentially now is the time. You'll have to look at your own financial situation. But I want to look at the 3.0. There are 241 copies of this book on the census. 94 have traded hands. The fair market value for this book is $13,000 according to Go Collect. And again, as we look at the graphic here, you can see that there is a story to be told with this book. The most recent sale in January, specifically January 5th, for this book, 2023, was $12,800. And if we back up to December, in December, this book sold for $14,400. That is a $1,600 decline from December to January of this year. That is about an 11% decline. And if we back up, let's back up to April. If we play this out and magnify this just a little bit, what we see is that in April of 2022, this book sold for $26,100. And the book again has fallen to $12,000. That is a decline from April to January of $13,300 or 51%. That, again, like the previous example, is a significant amount of money. A lot of folks say that they expect these books to continue to fall. They could be right. I honestly do not know what the future holds. I've given up trying to predict the future. But what I will tell you is that these are awesome books. And if you have been priced out of these books or other books, depending upon your situation, it could be a great time to pick these books up. Recently, I released a video in which I spoke about the fact that chasing variants could leave you broke. And this was really a cautionary video that I was putting out there for people to say, hey, pay attention to how much you're spending for these variants and how these variants are performing over time, and think about when you might want to buy those books, if at all, right? The data would suggest that in 2022, there were 2.4 variants released for every single comic that was released. That is a lot of variants. And this is on the low end, roughly 11,000 variants being released over the course of 2022. So which do you buy? That's the question. Somebody actually responded to me and they said that variants do indeed sometimes lose their value, but they pointed out that the Alex Ross series of timeless variants is performing incredibly well. They asserted the notion that these books have done nothing but go up in value. And of course, I had to pressure test that just a little bit by looking at some actual data, because I am a fan of that. I am a fan of looking at some data. So what I wanted to do was to pull up a couple of these variants to take a look at how they are performing. The first that I pulled up was Punisher issue number 1. This is Alex Ross timeless variant, and specifically looked at the 9.8. And like the other charts that I've shown over the course of this video, you can see that this book has not performed all that well. The value of this book has actually declined. In May of 2022, this book was selling for roughly $120. It has fallen to a low of about $47 in September of 2022. And as of January, this book is now going for roughly $52. And so this timeless variant is not timely, right? Or timeless. Great variant. Alex Ross is an extremely talented guy, but the data would suggest that this book has done something other than nothing but increase over time. So I want to look at a few more examples of these timeless variants, because they really are excellent variants. There is no doubt about that. So let's look at this one here. This is the Avengers issue number 43. Again, another Alex Ross timeless variant. Awesome cover here featuring Vision. When we look at this one, you see something similar, right? The book came out, dropped in value, had a blip, and then dropped in value. This book in February of 2022 was as high as $191, and it appears to have fallen as low as $34 in November of 2022, and presently in January is selling for $34. Again, a fantastic cover, no doubt about it. It's an awesome book, and if you happen to have these Alex Ross variants, you should definitely consider yourself lucky, because there's a lot of people that do want these books. But if you had potentially waited a little while, you could have maybe picked the book up for a decent price the way that it is priced right now. Here's a really awesome one. This is Hellions issue number 5. Really awesome Jean Grey cover here. Like some of the others, you can see some interesting data happening, or some interesting patterns here with the data. This book just really has not performed. The book came out and hasn't really done much of anything. There was a blip here in July of 2022 when it increased in value. I don't know why that happened to 1524. We might need to dig into that one, because that does not seem right at all. But that one popped in value. But again, if you even take that one out, this book just has not done all that much. You can see here the 1 year through the 30-day has not necessarily performed. And so I want to take a look at maybe one more. We'll look at one more. We'll look at the Wolverine cover, if I can find it here. Extremely popular character, Wolverine issue number 6. Again, the Alex Ross timeless variant. And again, you see a fall off in the value. This book was selling in November of 2022 for $185. Few blips here and there, but as of late, this book has sold for about $65.50. So again, just wanted to make sure that I shared some of that data with you guys. Again, this is not a criticism of these books. I think these variants are awesome. But there is something to be said about potentially controlling the FOMO and waiting for an optimal time to buy these books. This entire Snag These Books Now series is all about the optimization of your spend and being smart about how you are choosing to spend your hard-earned cash. Fingers crossed that you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, I definitely want to encourage you to hit the thumbs up. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.